Welcome back to WandrinDutch. Today I'm going to be taking you through the basics of why next-gen hardware will improve our gameplay and how we play. So sit back, relax, and let me run through some of the features that's going to make a benefit to you. First of all, both of these consoles will have dramatically improved CPU and GPU. So the CPU and GPU essentially makes up the main brains and brawn of both of these consoles. I'm going to keep it simple for this video, so I'm going to explain exactly why these additions or improvements will benefit you, the gamer. First of all, we've moved from a CPU that has been prevalent in previous two generations. Slightly outdated and cumbersome, hard to work with at times, and slow. Both of these consoles, both the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series, both X and S, now use the same infrastructure and architecture, sitting with both RDNA 2 and Zen 2 on x86 based technology. They will be able to perform 50 to 75% better in all scenarios, in all tasks. Secondly, we have improved RAM. Now the RAM is the allotted amount that is in your phone, in your computers, in your consoles, your laptops. This essentially makes up quite a lot of the speed of your system. Both of these consoles have 16 gigabit, which has been complained about by some developers, but is still an improvement on previous generations. Now this is the next variant of RAM that can go into these consoles. We're talking about going from GDDR4 or 5, depending on which model you had for the previous generation, to GDDR6, which brings its own benefits. Mainly the speed. These have both been clocked at either around 500 gigabits per second or 450 gigabits per second, and have partitions off for certain tasks. The GPU in each console have both been improved dramatically over previous generations. For the PlayStation 5, we saw the 4.75 teraflop machine on the PlayStation 4 Pro now jump to a ceiling performance of 10.24 teraflop. That is a variable figure, but again, that is the maximum it can achieve in best case scenario. On the Series X, they have doubled their output from 6 teraflops to 12.2 teraflops. And from the One S or the standard Xbox up either coming just shy of a teraflop or 1.2 teraflops, going to the Series S at 4 teraflop. Now this is all based on new technology RDNA 2, as I mentioned previously, which will bring its own improvements and more than double the performance from previous generation. Both of these consoles will be able to harness these additional performance upgrades in different manners across the board. One of the major changes from both consoles was not in the CPU or the GPU or the RAM. In fact, both of them ditched the old hard disk drives for now solid state drives, otherwise known as SSD. Now I'll explain why this is a benefit to everybody going forward. So solid state drives essentially are not mechanical. They don't have a needle or a disc to find data on, and therefore are far quicker at picking data up than is required. Solid state drives can find any data as they do not rely on the needle and disc to find that data. There's a much quicker method of retrieving and writing data. Both of these consoles have solid state drives installed. The PlayStation 5 is an industry leader in this as it stands, with a solid state drive with a ceiling speed of 5.5 gigabits per second on raw. Oh, sorry, no, that is compressed, and raw speed of 9 gigabits per second. The Series X has a 2.5 gigabits per second speed and a raw speed of 4.8 gigabits per second. Again, no matter which you look at, that is a vast improvement over the 500 megabits per second we had for read and write on the previous hard disk drives, allowing them to pull data from files and create bigger worlds, more seamless worlds, quicker. This is much more beneficial for the user, as they will be able to see and play their games much quicker than ever before, have larger worlds, more detailed worlds, as the data is transferred to and from different areas of the console before you can even think about it, and improve the quality of the game overall. Now, each of those uses something called I/O throughput. I/O throughput is the manner in which the data is transferred through. Each of these consoles have their own variants on how they transfer that data to and from the SSD, collecting it, distributing it, and implementing that data where needs be. Now, this will also translate into far quicker load times for games, system startups, switch between games, starting from cold, or loading up your saves. So far, we've saw improvements on the Series X of anywhere between 50 and 75% reduced load times, allowing you to get into the games far quicker than ever before. Lastly, we'll get on to the next implementation or benefit that we're going to have next generation. Games will start to introduce something called ray tracing. Real-time ray tracing or software-based ray tracing are two different things. However, both have their benefits. Ray tracing allows the realistic bounce light effect. So essentially bringing reflections into game, realistic reflections of your characters, or realistic reflections on items, or water, scenery. Wherever the sun or light is in the world, the realistic bounce of that light will reflect against the modern world. This will create a far more dynamic and realistic experience for the user. Lastly, we also have additional features such as 3D audio, which you may already be witnessing with Dolby Atmos. You will also get this with the Kraken to the PlayStation 5. Other additional features with haptic triggers and enhanced feedback on the PlayStation 5, and also haptic feedback on the dual motors on the Series X controller, will allow you to feel more in tune with the game than ever before. Both consoles will also launch with digital editions, So for those of you who don't want to clog up your living room space with discs or cases, you can buy everything on their digital stores and not have to worry about that. Both will offer expansions for SSDs, which attempt to make it far better to store your games going forward. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you understand some of the basics that you will get from next generation and why that will benefit you. Again, I hope you enjoyed the video. Like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell to catch up and be notified when we go live. And I'll see you.